Thank you. Here are some comment cards that I took while you were gone. Those are the order I got them.
Okay, do I have a motion to return to open session?
So moved.
Second. Ms. Skank, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mayor Condrey,
Yes.
Ms. Nenny.
Yes.
Okay, so we are now back in our open session, which we did start 30 minutes early so that we could move to an executive session for our boards and commissions.
Apologies. We might want to note for the record that Ms. Vittori is joining us by.
Yeah, and can we note for the record that Ms. Vittori has joined us at 17:33?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's start this with a moment of meditation at this time, and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America,
And
to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and for the record again, this is Tuesday, April 6th, 2021. We've completed our roll call, so that brings us to the first presentation we have this evening, which is our 2021 National Public Health Week proclamation. If we have our Department of Health members, you guys want to come on up?
Okay.
Come on up here.
Okay.
So we have a proclamation to present all of you out of gratitude for all of your hard work and dedication. I don't think anyone has any question about that. You leave nothing on the table, so thank you guys so much. So I'm going to read this proclamation that's for all of you. This is the National Public Health Week, April 5th through 11th, 2021. Whereas the week of April 5th through 11th, 2021 is National Public Health Week, and the theme is Building Bridges to Better Health. Since 1995, the American Public Health Association, through its sponsorship of National Public Health Week, has educated the public, policymakers, and public health professionals about issues important to improving the public's health. And whereas U.S. life expectancy dropped from 2014 to 2017 in the longest sustained decline since the Great Recession, and only in 2018 began to increase again. Further, studies consistently show the United States has a lower life expectancy than comparable countries. And whereas there is a significant difference in health status, such as obesity, poor mental health, and drug abuse, among people living in rural areas compared with people living in urban areas. And this variance increases because rural residents are often more likely to face social determinants that negatively impact health, such as poverty, transportation barriers, and lack of economic opportunity. And whereas public health professionals help communities prevent, prepare for, withstand, and recover from the impact of a full range of health threats, including disease outbreaks, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, which these ladies know a lot about, measles, natural disasters, and disasters caused by human activity. And whereas public health action, together with scientific and technological advances, has played a major role in reducing, and in some cases, eliminating the spread of infectious disease, and in establishing today's disease surveillance and control systems. And whereas 6 in 10 adults have a chronic disease, and 4 in 10 have 2 or more. And health risks such as alcoholism, obesity, and tobacco use are the primary reason for 7 of every 10 deaths annually in the United States. The COVID-19 pandemic has illuminated and exacerbated racial inequities, and a growing number of local, state governments and public health leaders have declared racism a public health crisis. Now, therefore, I, Nicole Condry, Mayor of the City of Middletown, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the laws of the City of Middletown, Ohio, do proclaim the week of April 5th through 11th, 2021 as National Public Health Week 2021 in Middletown, Ohio, and call upon the people of Middletown to observe this week by helping our families, friends, neighbors, coworkers, and leaders to better understand the value of public health and supporting great opportunities to adopt preventative lifestyle habits in light of this year's theme, Building Bridges to Better Health. So congratulations, all of you. Thank you so much. Totally up to you.
If I could just say quickly, public health is community health, and I can say that Middletown is healthy and alive and well because we have the best community. And although we may not agree, and although we may have difference in opinions of how to get there, everyone in this community, from this wonderful health staff, this wonderful Board of Health, and my mayor, council, city manager, assistant city manager, every department head here has chipped in and helped, city employees, churches, just community all the way around. So I can't do it without you. We always get to our vaccine clinics and say, how many people are from the health department? And it's us. Nancy is not here because her mother passed away, but it's 7 of us at the department with Dr. Jenna Wine. It makes 8. And then we have about 40 volunteers. So it's because of all you guys we can get this done. So I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
We have some small cards and tokens of our appreciation for all of the work that you ladies do for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And on behalf of the entire city organization, I just want to say that Jackie Phillips and her dedicated staff are some of the most incredibly energetic and dedicated folks that we have here, and in probably the most difficult year any of us have ever seen. They have just been there throughout, working tirelessly and providing great service to our community, and we can't say enough. And with most sincere thanks, we really, really appreciate everything that you do, so thank you so much.
Thanks all.
And next we have a presentation from Downtown Middletown Inc. representative Micah Glacier Jones to introduce the Downtown Middletown app. Or perhaps Jeffrey Payne.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of City Council, I can take this off.
Yeah, just make sure that mic is close enough we can pick up that voice.
Okay, great, thank you. I have a very soft voice. So, if we can get the first slide, please.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Tonight, we really want to just take the time to present to you our newest tool in our arsenal of trying to promote downtown and the downtown community. I did want to, though, for those of the community who may not be as familiar about Downtown Middletown Inc., just give a little bit of background, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mika Glazer Jones, our Promotion Committee Chair. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We were incorporated in 2011, and in 2016, we received our Main Street certification. We're one of 24 Ohio Main Streets, and there are approximately another 30 communities in the state of Ohio that are working to achieve this. We've got a 15-member board, and they represent a real cross-section of the Middletown community. And all are volunteers with the exception of myself. Next slide, please. Our mission is building community, fostering pride, and revitalizing your downtown. In 2019, our board met to talk about how we can develop a transformational strategy. And so our transformational strategy says that we want Middletown to be a vibrant community, and we feel that the way to do that is to drive growth that will increase our downtown sustainability. And so all of the efforts that we take with this particular strategic transformational strategy in mind. Next slide, please. The Main Street program has a 4-point approach: economic vitality, design, promotion, and organization. And these are actually 4 committees that really work in harmony together. So they're not really siloed. We often find the efforts of one committee also rolling over into another. The new phone app is really what we want to talk about tonight. It's primarily an outgrowth of the efforts, really about a 2-year effort of our promotional committee. And so we just want to show you how that all fits together. Next slide, please. And finally, we just want to talk about how we feel this will be a benefit, particularly as we work with the community to pull ourselves out of the impacts of COVID-19. In 2019, we had 50-plus events. Over 15,000 people visited our downtown as a result of that. These were things like First Friday, Dog Day, Thunderfest, Hocus Pocus, ribbon cuttings, fundraising events. And then that provided for us about 3,847 volunteer hours. And when you look at that in comparison to the IRS value, $97,000 plus in free or volunteer labor. In 2020, we had just started, and suddenly, boom, COVID hits. But even with that, we were able to do 1,016 hours, and that resulted in $31,000 roughly. Just wanted to, again, give you a sense of that. Now, our next slide, please. So what did we do in 2020? We did a number of things, even though we weren't able to do what you might consider the more traditional things. And so our COVID issue started in March. And so in April, we did an Easter egg hunt, which was basically social distancing. We did a Middletown Strong program. I know I'm not from Middletown, but I know y'all have a real strong love of your community, purple and white. Is that correct? Yeah, okay. In May, we did a Middletown Zoo against social distancing. We partnered with the Community Foundation to do Lift Up Middletown, which was a special meals program for our frontline service workers. We also did Women, Wine, and Chocolate Walk at Home edition, and Mika may talk a little bit about this year's Women, Wine, and Chocolate Walk. In June, we participated in the unity and diversity efforts after the George Floyd incident. In July, we had a progressive picnic, social distancing. We did Pride Day at a lower, sort of a reduced scale. September, we worked with the PAC to do their First Friday. In October through November, we started with the SIP Bite and Buy program in partnership with the Department of Economic Development. In November, unfortunately, we lost one of our real key leaders and friends, Kara Goheen. But then we still continued through the year with the small business. We called it Saturday, but it was really small business season. And then, of course, in December, we had 3 different events. Now, at this time, I just want to, first of all, thank the Community Foundation, because we used some of our funds from the Community Foundation went to pay for this app. And so at this point in time, I'm going to introduce Mika Glazer-Jones. She's our board secretary and our promotion committee chair. Take it away, Mika.
Thanks, Jeff. Hello, everyone. Alrighty, thank you, Jeff, for that. Yes, I'm here to talk about the app, which is so super exciting. I was kind of brought in at the end of this. This was all brainchild of Jeff and Mike Saltzman, who is the consultant and the real brains behind the app. But when they first rolled this out to me, I was like, oh my goodness, we have something super cool for our downtown businesses. And I don't know if everyone has, but if you can open up the app, it is available on Google and the Apple Store. When you open it up, oh, can you go next? Wait, back a slide, I think.
Back.
Oh, nope, you're right, sorry. All right, so when you open up, there are 6 buttons that, the first one is events. And when you click on that, it will give you a highlight of all the special events and everything. And this is fed by the DMI events page. So anything that's shared on our DMI events page will feed into the app. So we loaded up all the SORG events, Lyric Theater, all the events for DMI for the entire year is on there. Any other groups we collaborate with will share their events on there as well. The map is super exciting. You click on that and you'll see a bunch of blue dots right now. That is mostly food and dining. All businesses downtown will have a freemium listing, which will be a basic listing. It will have the name of the business. It will say what kind of business they are. Like I'm on the Swire right now. It says directions. They're a pub restaurant. The microphone means yes, they have live entertainment, and then a phone number. So every business downtown will have a free listing like that. Anybody who is a DMI sponsor, they will have a premium listing, which means they'll have be able to interact with their profile more. They'll be able to put their logo picture, cover pictures. They'll be able to put in specials, events, entertainment, and that will go into the feed as well. So that will help populate the app. The other button is the feed, which I was just saying. That's where when businesses do updates, that will all go into that area. The next button is the dining feature article. So the map is on there, but also we'll do some highlights of different bars and restaurants downtown, and we'll also talk about the Dora in that button feature. The Discover feature article, that is where we can highlight hidden gems downtown or highlight new businesses coming downtown. That's where all the new information will be. Experiences will be articles with personal touch and cool things to do, like if we have Runnings just did the Middletonian 5K this past weekend, or if Hot Fusion is doing a glass workshop, just different experiences like that will be in there. A really cool thing, you can log in and become a user, and this is for visitors and for businesses. Everybody will have their own login. And so you get more of a personalized thing in there, and it can also help us, which this is the part that excites me, for like digital passports. You know how many events we do, and we love passports. And Kara loved passports, and we had passports for every event. And these take a lot of time to design and a lot of money to print. And now with the wondrous app, we can pare that down so people can do check-ins and such on the app. And we tried that out for the first Friday that we just had, which was EcoFest. And after you logged in, there was a button on the app that told you how to check in for a code. And you would go into the locations that were participating, and there would be a code, 3 or 4 digit code. Was it 4-digit code? 3-digit code. And so when you went in there to check in, instead of the businesses having to stamp you or trading paper or anything, you just put the code in. It marks your progress, tells you how many more stops you need to do, and you'll get your badge when you've completed all the stops. So it's all digitally marked and everything like that. And then you got a little EcoFest badge if you completed it all this past time. And just to tell you how much we've changed in just a month, we rolled this out March 1st, Friday. Oh, hold on a minute, I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, gonna go to the next slide. All right, so when Jeff and Mike started on this app, we wanted something that was specific for downtown. So it wasn't a cookie cutter app that was rolled out for all other communities. This was based specifically on our downtown. And so Jeff and Mike worked hand in hand on this to make sure that that's what we got. So we have great analytics we can use. Like I mentioned before, it's available on Apple and Google stores. We get push notifications. Now we're not going to over push, because I hate apps that sit there and push something like every other day and you're like, all right, I'm done with you. So on Friday, I was minding my own business, and all of a sudden I got my first push notification. I'm like, oh, cool, it worked. And it reminded me that EcoFest was going on that night and to come downtown. And we'll do a second one mid-month. It's only 2 pushes right now. Beginning and middle, just to remind people we're here and to check in and see what's going on. With the login, we'll have points and check-in systems, like I mentioned before. And like I laugh because I look down at my login and I'm up to 42 points. I don't know what that 42 points is going to get me yet, but I have 42 points. So like when you went to EcoFest and you checked in, if you signed up for Keep Middletown Beautiful, you got bonus points on there plus a badge for signing up. So it's kind of a collaborative thing, and people like getting points and badges. It'll also help track your progress on there. Is that one? Next slide, please. All right, so with what Jeff was saying with the 4 points that we do for the Main Street program, that's kind of where the app is following as well. With the economic vitality, we're going to streamline communication with the entrepreneurs, and we'll have discussions and profiles in there. So it's more than just going and see who's open. You're going to find out more about these businesses and what they have to offer. The design, it's more of an inclusive atmosphere with community-oriented network. Promotion, that's my heart and soul because that's what I do. It helps make my life a little bit easier. And supporting buy local experiences. So it's more, I mean, you're going to be able to just go and like, oh, what's going on downtown tonight, and check it out and see who's got what going on. And as long as the businesses are updating it and keeping it going, it will be a very vital marketing tool. An organization that leverages engagement with push notifications, the gamification and emails. With the map, like I was going to talk about, for where we were March 1st Friday. That was the very first weekend we rolled this out, and we had 3 events in that weekend. We had March 1st Friday, which was a Margaritaville theme, and the map that day, anybody who had a salsa was a nacho chip, and if you were an umbrella drink, you had a little umbrella, and if we had a lost shaker of salt scavenger hunt, Mike made bouncing salt shakers. See them? It was so fun. So then, miraculously at midnight, it stopped and it turned into cookies and wine because we had the Girl Scout cookie walk the next day. So the nachos and umbrellas were gone, and cookies and Cookie Monster was there the next day. And so it was very seamless. I didn't have to do anything. Mike took care of it all. It was wonderful. No passports. We did a passport that day because it was the very first weekend, but we're going to try to phase them out. But it was an awesome feel, and we just showed people, hey, download the app, go to the map, push the button, you see what it is. So it is huge that, and then a month later we have logins and check-ins. So he's making my digital passports a reality. Okay, next slide, please. All right, this is exciting for people who like numbers. So since we've just done a soft rollout, we really have only done a couple of posts on social media, and the rest of it has been word of mouth, and some of these handouts that we put in businesses around town. We have, I just had updated numbers, 336 users on the app already. And the cool thing is they're staying on the app over 8 minutes. So, and they're just going around, playing around, checking it out. And we really don't even have it fully loaded yet because the businesses haven't even started putting all their information in there yet. So if we have users on here for 8 minutes, checking things out, seeing what events are going on, that is really encouraging. So we are super excited to see the growth, and with DMIs, when they start utilizing all the benefits of the app, they'll get to keep their profiles updated, add their events, add their specials. We hope to quadruple these numbers in the next 30 to 45 days, which should be good because we got Women, Wine, and Chocolate Walk coming. 1,000 women, most of them from out of town, will be coming to our downtown to explore. And we'll be pushing the fact that we want them to download the app, because we'll be doing the maps and the check-ins and the bus stops and where they can pick up this, and where they can get on a bus there, and where parking is. So we'll hopefully alleviate people getting lost. Can't help it if it's because of the wine. But at least with getting the information, it will help with that. So we're really gearing up for Women, Wine, and Chocolate Walk and seeing how we can make the app work with there. All right, next slide, please. So if you don't have the app downloaded yet, there's a QR code, or you can go to either one of the app stores. And remember, once you download it, to log in, create your username, and then check back often, wrap up those points and badges, and we'll see how we can make this all work. We want to make this the go-to app for everything going on downtown. Does anybody have any questions? Do you do that?
I do have one question. I don't know if it's for Mika or for Jeff. Kudos to you guys for creating it. I think this is wonderful. I wish we had something that was serving the whole city, but maybe somebody else will come up with that. Obviously, you're going to design something to serve your service area. Do you see any opportunity for, if another organization did something citywide, that you guys might be able to collaborate or push notifications to each other on events going on throughout the rest of the city? Any thoughts on that, or?
Mike would know that because that's a technical question. Mike?
We'll let Mike answer that, but I will say that collaboration is one of the main principles of DMI. So, Michael.
I'm Mike Saltzman with Saltzman Media Limited in Middletown, Ohio. From a technical perspective, sure, they can do whatever they like. If they wanted to break it open, collaborate with other organizations, individuals, businesses, entities, we could definitely do something like that.
Great stuff. Good work.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to mention, any of the DMI sponsors, and this is already included, we only increased the DMI sponsorship to $50 for the entire year. It was originally $250, so it's now $300 for the businesses, and that includes being in the app for the entire year, which being on the app should be $300 itself. So it's a nice inclusion. We're just trying to help all the businesses come back after COVID, and we wanted to make it affordable for everyone. So, because the more businesses we have interacting, the better the app and the better downtown is. So, anything else?
Yeah, I have just a lot of questions about logistics, about how this whole thing was done. I think it's great, and I definitely agree, if we can get it even bigger and include the whole city, that would definitely be awesome. But who created the app? And
Mike Saltzman?
okay, so as a contract
Yes.
Okay,
DMI
through-
contracted with
through
Saltzman.
DMI, okay. How do you have any financials, how much it costs to do this? It seems very professional. I'm just
Well, he's very good.
curious. Time and effort and
Jeff can give you that.
thinking about if we were to expand this, how would it, you know what I'm getting at here? Could we make it happen on a bigger scale,
Well,
and
let
what are
me
we looking at?
First, about 2 years ago, we were brainstorming about this idea. And one of the things that we do is we do a lot of sharing with our other Main Street organizations. So I reached out to our Main Street organizations and started to ask them, what's been your experience with doing apps? And so first thing they told us is don't buy anything off the shelf. Because generally the more features you want, the higher the cost. And then secondly, they told us to really just be focused in on the areas or the target market, and just to kind of see how things would work. So we kind of talked this through, and then as we moved forward, and then COVID really hit, I think that really was the impetus for us, because not only was it just something that we could do to help our businesses, but we also wanted to be more safe. I mean, this gets us away from all of that contact and things like that, because that was always a problem. What we did is basically work to negotiate the price that we have, and be more than happy to kind of share those numbers with you.
So Jeff, with access to all those numbers, I can see this being something that is attractive to businesses outside of the downtown.
Yes.
And so will there be a way for businesses outside of the downtown to participate as sponsors of downtown, where they can engage with your customer base that you're really capturing here? I think that's
Part of the thing, part of what the app does is we have the ability for, because we do have businesses that are non-downtown businesses that are DMI sponsorship businesses. And so we have a way to provide that so that they would have advertisement as a DMI non-downtown business sponsor. So we can work through the mechanics of that. Hearing this interest from the city is great. One of the things I'll do is share these comments and questions with the board, and then we'll start to work from there.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So another question: how was the Visitors Bureau involved in the process with you guys?
We, well, as Mika mentioned, we're just rolling these efforts out. In this instance, we, the board, decided to go forward with the funding. We had the additional, we had some funds from the Community Foundation, so we combined those to fund this particular effort. We work all the time with the Visitors Bureau. They were very instrumental in helping us set up our DORA system, all of the cups, the promotion, and all of those kinds of things. So we continue to work collaboratively with them. In fact, there's a project that you're doing, the Portopia project, and we are their fiscal agent as they work through their efforts to obtain financing for that.
Okay, so were they involved with the app creation at all? Or-
No.
How about the chamber? Have we worked with them yet?
Just DMI
Okay.
primarily.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you.
I have one more question for you, sorry, but who owns the data associated with this? Is it DMI? Where does it go? And
Well, we own the app, so obviously the data belongs to DMI.
Sure.
We don't have a problem sharing that. I mean, that's not, it's not a we have it, that kind of thing. We obviously want to share that because that's information that can help us. We work very collaboratively, with Shelby in terms of our efforts to promote and get information out. So
is it stored, I guess, where's the data stored? I know that's just a lot of, people are going to ask these questions when they sign up for the app, and I just always get that out in advance, right?
No worries. Thank you for your kind words on the design. I prepared a couple pieces of information I think will kind of add some clarity for you. The content, the things you see, the pictures and such, it's hosted on an industry standard scalable cloud computing platform, Amazon Web Services.
Gotcha.
The data and usage analytics is collected and stored with a leading analytics service on the web, Google Analytics. And the respective app stores host the app package, and they provide the basic download and install metrics, like how many people downloaded it, installed it, uninstalled it. And then we give users the right to delete their account and the right to place data export privacy requests with their profile. And the app can also be used anonymously without signing up for an account. But the anonymous user will miss out on the fun of the earning points and badges and such like that.
Okay.
So we take the privacy and security very seriously at Saltzman Media Limited. So we just want to make it available to anyone. And if you don't want your information stored, there's a place for that. And the backups and data are all siloed so that we only give administrator users access.
Okay, I'm thinking with our downtown Wi-Fi and now this, that there is opportunity obviously for marketing to occur. And, at some point, I hate to say it, but that is worth money. So where does that go and how does that get used? And it's just a thought process where I'll have to think through, obviously, when we do all this. And but thank you.
Yep, most definitely. All of that, it gets right back to Jeff and Mika.
Gotcha.
just to make sure our distinguished city manager is a part of our executive committee. So I think you're going to be well represented in any of those concerns. Right, Jim?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeff.
Appreciate it. Good job.
Just one final comment, Mayor, on that. I appreciate the update from DMI, and it's been my pleasure to serve as city council liaison over the past several years to that organization. And it's great to get this update, and it sounds like you're on the leading edge of how we're going to market to new visitors to town and current residents as well. And it's a testament, your slide about the volunteer hours. It's incredible that $100,000 worth of volunteer hours in 2019. So I think the city's investment is certainly getting a great return on investment. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have citizen comments. I'll ask the individuals come up to the dais and state their name and address for the record. First, I have Mr. Kent Keller II, Wellington Road, Middletown.
Hello, thank you, Council. A month ago, our...
Can you state your name and address for the record, please? Thank you.
Kent Keller, Wellington Road, Middletown, Ohio. A month ago, our city manager said that public servants should be held to a higher standard. And yesterday, we had a public servant that I believe is not being held to a higher standard. Matt Eisenbraun has a management position, and he pled guilty to a crime that carries up to 6 months in jail. Failure to report a crime, disorderly conduct, and he pled guilty. He talked to MPD investigators, and it's many pages long, but here's one little part I'd like to read from the investigators. Matt acknowledged during our interview in October that he knew Dan, his subordinate, had accessed Start Skydiving's account with Ashley's credentials and should have stopped it, saying it represented a really low time for me. In essence, I didn't do my job. A low point in professionalism, unfortunately. And it seems like Matt is still holding his job. I don't know that he was given any time off. I don't know that this whole fiasco cost him a single penny. And I want to know, where is the line where city employees are reprimanded or held accountable? Where's the line? Is it a felony? Misdemeanor 2, 3? Because it seems like it's just pretty blurry. It seems like there's two sets of rules. Some employees get away with things, while the lowly worker bees don't get away with things. So I don't know if there's a handbook, maybe there's some guidelines, I'm not sure. But I would like to see a clear line between what is acceptable for a city employee to get away with, plead guilty for messing around with Middletown businesses on employee time, on taxpayer time. He didn't apologize to the plaintiff. He didn't apologize to the taxpayers while he was committing this crime. And I hope this is not being swept under the rug. I hope that Matt will be held accountable and that the city will lay out a clear line of what is acceptable for employees and what is not. What do you have to do to get fired
The 3-minute.
from a job in Middletown?
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much. Jim, if you would like to respond at all, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I assume city staff at some fashion will follow up with him.
I am certainly not going to comment on disciplinary matters within personnel, and I'm not going to speak to that, obviously, in a public forum, so we'll refrain from any further statement on that.
Sounds good. Wanted to give you the chance if you had anything you wanted to say. Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Scott Wright, 2910 Roosmar Court.
Hi, I'm Scott Wright, homeowner in Middletown, and grew up in Middletown, graduated from Middletown High School.
Can you state your address for the record as well?
2910 Roosmar Court.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And I moved up, my family moved away in 92, and my wife and I moved back in 2002 and bought a house on Roosmar Court. And these are some of the pictures that I like to share with you of my street. I got a hunch I got probably the worst street in the city. I mean, it's virtually a goat path. The last two pictures in the bunch, back in 2018, they ripped up my street, and they didn't repave the street. I mean, they just put a patch over it. It's gigantic. It's like the size of a football field. And you could see by this, the road is destroyed. And I know that you guys are going to spend some money on infrastructure, and it's not a busy street. I mean, it's basically 300 yards long. And we bought the Wyckoff house, which Wyckoff was in 1950, he built this house, and he was the vice president of Armco. And he built this custom house, and we have this road that's absolutely crumbling. And I know that all the streets are bad in Middletown. I know they are. And obviously, it is not a well-worn path, but it's embarrassing to have family and friends and people come over and see the condition of our road. So I'm just asking, please, help me. You know, I'm proud to live here, but it's embarrassing when your road looks like that. Thanks.
Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention, and I'm sure we'll look into that road specifically and see if it's on the plan. It looks like it absolutely needs repair, so.
Well,
Thank you.
if I may, I believe that is on the paving plan, that
Okay, great.
particular street.
Yeah, if we can confirm
It
that.
is on the paving plan, it is. Yes, I believe so.
Great. Our next speaker, Mr. Thomas Hall, Rep. Hall, if you will.
I feel like I'm coming down into an arena, coming down to speak to you guys. But I don't think a politician's ever spoke in 3 minutes or less, so I will try to keep it very brief and to the point.
Great. Can you state your name and address for the
Yes,
record as well?
I am State Representative Thomas Hall. I do not live in Middletown. For the record, I live in Madison Township, just across the way. Born and raised in Madison Township. But with the 53rd District, we cover most of Middletown. There are parts of Middletown covered by a different representative, Representative Paul Zutwanger. But tonight, I wanted to come and officially say hello as your state representative. A campaign promise of mine is to go and speak to each council in this district, each township trustee board, each school board, to try and get a feel of where they are as a city, as a township, as a school board, and see what we can do at the state level to help them in any capacity. I first want to go over what committees we have. I feel like some of the committees that we've been given are directly impactful in our district. First one's going to be infrastructure and rural development, transportation and public safety, higher ed and career readiness. And then the last one's a new one. We were able to get the vice chair on that one. It is technology and innovation. It's a brand new committee, so I'm very excited to see what we can do. We do have 5 bills already introduced, going through the system, and 1 resolution. In the essence of time, I would not go over each bill, but I will give the bill numbers just for the record. One is House Bill 99, House Bill 144, House Bill 176, House Bill 225, and House Bill 230. And then the other resolution that we have is HCR 5. And I would be happy to answer any questions in regard to any of those bills or resolutions. I have met with your economic development director. We had a great meeting. I have also met with the city manager, who we also had a great meeting. My point with meeting with both of them is to try and get on the same schedule where we are as a city, where you guys are as a city, excuse me, and where you guys want to go and what we can do from the state level to try to help out in any way we can. I look forward to working with each of you. Feel free to reach out to me or my office with anything. I'd love to meet with you personally and try and see what we can do to make Middletown better. I had lunch last week with one of your councilmen, and very exciting with some of the projects and some of the things that you guys are ongoing and doing currently, and I kind of want to just see where we can fill in and work with you guys. And I have 15 seconds to spare, so thank you.
And as I mentioned before, if you want to come and speak about any topic particularly, we can put that on the agenda. Absolutely, you can communicate with Amy, and we'll make sure that happens.
Well, thank you. And I was a little worried sitting there. I thought Mr. Rick McCrabb was going to say something because I don't live in Middletown. So thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. And thank you for your guys' service to the city.
Thank you as well. Okay, our last citizen comment, Mr. Ray Miller, 4401 Brandon Lane.
My name is Ray Miller. I live 4401 Brandon Lane. It's corner of Brill Boulevard and Brandon Lane. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you guys. Since this administration came into Middletown, this is a better place to live. I congratulate every one of you. And to just give you an example how you guys have trickled down into your city employees. The last 2 Mondays ago, someone lost control with their car on Brill Boulevard southbound, went into the center median, struck a tree, it embedded itself in the car, it traveled 1.5 blocks down the street, came in at rest in my yard at the corner. We got up, and within an hour, you would have never known that accident had ever happened. That crew that come, I mean, it was a miracle. They showed up, a total of 8 people, one with a backhoe, not a backhoe, but a front end loader, a dump truck. When they left, there wasn't a twig left in front of my house. And that quick. So I congratulate your city employees and let you know how proud I am to be part of this community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's great to hear. Okay, next we have council comments. We'll start with Ms. Ninny.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be pretty brief. I just want to thank everyone who made a presentation tonight, to DMI for all of your volunteer work and all of your hard work in getting that app launched. First Friday EcoFest was a lot of fun. I downloaded the app and put it to practice. We got a lot of people to sign up for Keep Middletown Beautiful, which is wonderful. Things are going to be a little bit different this year. They're asking everyone to get out into their own neighborhoods on April 24th, which is their cleanup day. Rather than meeting at any one location, they're just asking that you all take some responsibility in your own neighborhoods and go out and do some cleaning. So mark your calendar for April 24th and try to help keep Middletown beautiful. You can also sign up to volunteer at future events on their website, so I encourage anyone to do that. Again, I just appreciate everybody for coming out, and I'll pass it along. Thank you.
Councilman Moon.
Yes, thank you. Everybody last week expressed their appreciation for Jake. I thought I'd hold mine for his last meeting, and I believe that's tonight. So, Jake, just wanted to thank you. You've been just an awesome staff member. Fairfield is certainly getting an excellent finance director, and I talked to 2 council members over there in the last 2 weeks and gave them a hard time about taking you away, but also told them that they're getting not just a great staff member, but a great person. So all the best to you and your family as you move a few miles south. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Mulligan.
Thank you, Your Honor. No comments tonight.
Councilman Vittori.
I have no comments. If you hear screaming children, it's just because I'm on vacation and I can't control them anymore.
Okay, I have just an announcement about an effort that Community Building Institute is doing that will involve council in theory if everybody is on board with it. So they're managing a program called the Robert Sunny Hill Community Center Leadership Academy. And Verlina reached out to me and asked if council would be interested in participating in their government and finance session. It's one of their modules. So this is for middle school students. They have 11 per class. They're planning to do it 3 times a year. It's a 12-week long program. And it's made possible actually by a grant through AK Steel. So it's really great to see our community businesses getting involved and giving back. They're looking to possibly do a workshop before the 4 May City Council meeting. So maybe doing it just at 5 p.m., 30 minutes prior, and having them pick a topic. So it's middle school students, it'd be 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and having them pick a topic that they want to discuss about our city and communicating with city council about it and the appropriate city staff as well. And then they were going to give us a topic no later than the 12th of April if we're all good with doing this with them. And then followed by some sort of participation in the city council meeting. So perhaps one of them kind of running through the agenda like I do and not voting, obviously, but they can, hit the gavel and get us started and do all of that, as well as I had an idea, having one of them submit a citizen comment that can explain what they did during the workshop to us, just to get them involved, see how they can participate as citizens in their local government. So if you guys are interested in facilitating that, I would be happy to do the legwork of coordination. Does it sound like something you'd be interested in doing?
It's fine.
Okay, so with that being said, if you guys are good with it, then let's go ahead and plan to do the May 4th City Council meeting. We'll do a workshop prior to it, and I'll communicate with them about what topic and let you know early enough in advance what we'll do that on. And that is all the comments I have today. City Manager Report. Mr. Palaniuk.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Condrey. First of all, I would like to reserve a few minutes under our new business. We have a new video we would like to present, so if you'll allow me that indulgence, you'll see that a little bit later in the meeting. And then several other things I just wanted to note with regard to our Parks Master Plan, the presentation and survey. Since that first public survey in December, we've developed concepts and methods of approach for the park system. That's been informed from stakeholder input and conclusions from various rigorous information gathering and analysis exercise, and we would very much like to present those range of ideas for feedback from the community, and that's available on the city's website, homepage, and city social media. So you're seeing on your screen there how to access that. So please, if the public is interested, wants to see more about that, wants to participate, we would very much encourage them to do so. Secondly, in a similar vein, the Middletown Transit Services are also doing a survey right now. And on your screen, looking at revamping possibly some of the fixed route systems. They want to hear from the public. So that also is going to be available on the website. And the graphic that you see up there as well will be seen on social media. So again, we're looking for feedback from the public. And then finally, I wanted to note that we are having extended tax hours at the City Tax Department. Starting Saturday, April 10th, and then again on Tuesday, April 13th through Thursday, April 15th. And those hours are also shown there up on the graphic so that if people are looking for some additional time, those hours are available. And lastly, I also would just simply like to express a very deep and sincere thank you to Jacob Burton. He has been invaluable, certainly in the time that I've been here, and I will miss him a great deal. And the city of Fairfield's gain will certainly be our loss. So we wish him the very, very best and really appreciate everything that he's done for us. And that's my report.
Mr. Palaniuk, could I just ask one question? On the tax hours, and maybe we're going to ask Jake one last thing here. I believe I've seen some communication from my CPA that the federal government is pushing back some tax deadlines. Are we going to be looking at doing anything or anything, potentially the state or any thoughts?
I believe we have pushed back the deadline, and Jake can confirm that, yeah.
Good evening. Yeah, we have pushed back the deadline. We had already communicated these extended hours on half of our city water bills. So we felt like since half of the community had been notified of these hours, we didn't want to not be here when they show up. The tax department will potentially consider extended hours at that May due date now. Historically, I know last year with the July due date, we were not very busy as far as walk-ins during that time. Maybe it was COVID, maybe it was just because it was July instead of April. We still anticipate a decent crowd during the April deadline. A lot of people just creatures of habit, but they will certainly be considering extended hours depending upon how many people come in April.
So the deadline is going to be pushed as well?
Yeah.
Filing.
Deadline, so our tax ordinance follows the state of Ohio deadline. So when the state extended their deadline, we then extended as well. And I'm mind blanking right now, it's May 17th, I believe, but.
Thank you.
Good question. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Gangfu, please present the consent agenda for us.
For your consideration this evening, we have the approval of the City Council minutes of December 15th, 2020, January 5th, 19th, and February the 2nd of 2021. Receive and file the following board and commission minutes. Architectural Review Board of October 13th, 2020, and March the 2nd, 2021. Historic Commission of December 17th, 2020, and February 18th, 2021. The Planning Commission minutes from January 13th and February 10th, 2021, and the Board of Health minutes from February 9th, 2021. To confirm the personnel appointments of Ashley Kaufman to the position of Water Treatment Operator in the Department of Public Works and Utilities, Division of Water Treatment, Ronald Copeland Jr. to the position of Assistant Public Works Superintendent in the Public Works Department, Susan Cohen to the position of Assistant City Manager in the City Manager's Office, Ashley Combs to the position of Development Services Director in the Development Services Department, Thomas Gilvin, Jacob Moore, and Matthew Fornshell to the position of Firefighter Paramedic in the Department of Public Safety, Division of Fire, Jamie Patterson to the position of Patrol Officer in the Department of Public Safety, Division of Police, Rachel Combs to the position of Human Resources Manager in the Department of Administrative Services, Division of Human Resources, and Lisa Robin Rollins to the position of Housing Code Specialist in the Department of Public Safety, Division of Police Administration, to receive and file the oaths of office for Amber Martin, Renee Athey, and William Ross Green. To approve a contract with Banzel Construction of Fairfield, Ohio for the traffic pole replacement at University Boulevard and Central Avenue in an amount of $25,410.73. To approve the final record plat for Renaissance 1, Section 7, and to confirm the following board and commission appointments: Paul Horn and Dennis Beatty to the Board of Appeals, and Rick Pierce to the Middletown Visitors Bureau.
I move to approve the issues and actions set forth in the consent agenda.
Second?
Ms. Ganku, please call the roll.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Condrey?
No.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Ms. Nenny?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
For your consideration this evening, the motion agenda item to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract for services with community development partners for the administration of the CDBG, home funds, and reporting services.
So move for adoption.
Second?
Can we just receive clarification for sure that this is written up properly, this one, correct?
We believe so, yes.
Okay, I just want to, on the record, we believe that it is accurate and good to go.
I did have communication with our HUD rep actually today about closing up the process and indicated we were good to go.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Ms. Ganku, please call the roll.
Mayor Condrey?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Ms. Nenny?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Ms. Cohen, will you please present the legislation for us this evening?
Yes, Your Honor. This evening, we do have 5 matters we're asking you to consider as emergency legislation. So I'd ask if there's a motion to waive the charter requirements for 2 readings and 31 days to enactment regarding Ordinance O 2021-26, Resolution R 2021-15, Ordinance O 2021-27, Ordinance O 2021-28, Ordinance O 2021-29.
I move to waive the charter provision requiring readings on 2 separate days and to declare the previously read ordinances and resolutions declare the emergencies and read one time only.
Second?
Ms. Ganku, please call the roll.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Ms. Nenny?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Condrey?
Yes.
First matter we have is Ordinance O 2021-21, an ordinance approving a request to change the zoning classification for one parcel located at 1817 Highland Street from R4 Attached Residential District to B1 Neighborhood Business District. This is here for a second reading.
Do we have any comments about this one?
Nothing further from the last several meetings. This, of course, now is rewritten such that it is asking for approval.
So move for adoption.
Second?
Ms. Ganku, please call the roll.
Ms. Nenny?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
No.
Mayor Condrey?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Next matter is Ordinance O 2021-25, an ordinance to levy special assessments for the repair of sidewalks, curbs, gutters, and driveway aprons in the city of Middletown during the year 2020 against the lots and lands benefited by said improvements. Also here for a second reading.
So move for adoption.
Second?
Any comments on this one? Okay. Ms. Ganku, please call the roll.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Condrey?
Yes.
Ms. Nenny?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Item number 3 is ordinance number O 2021-26, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing a contract with Garland DBS Incorporated for the repair of the roof at the water distribution facility and declaring an emergency.
So move for adoption.
Second?
Mr. Palanick, would you like to comment about this one?
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of council, our roof at the water distribution facility is experiencing quite a number of leaks. It really is well beyond its useful life. We bid out the work for producing a new pre-finished metal panel roof, as well as all new gutters and downspouts, and 5 bidders were received. The low bidder was Garland DBS, $355,636. This project would be evenly funded between the water and sewer capital funds, 50% each, and we recommend its approval.
Any comments or questions from council? Okay, Ms. Skank, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mayor Condrey,
Yes.
Ms. Vettori,
Yes.
Ms. Nenny,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
The next matter is Resolution R 2021-15, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the Federal Aviation Administration for CARES Act grant funding and declaring an emergency.
So move for adoption.
Second.
Mr. Pelenick, would you like to speak to this one?
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of council, the CARES Act is the gift that keeps on giving. There are many different aspects of it, and this one happens to be some additional funding from the Federal Aviation Administration, specifically for general aviation airports. And in this case, the Middletown Regional Airport was eligible to receive $13,000 from these 2021 funds. So they are allowed to be used for operational needs. There is no local match. We would be planning to use it for debt service payments. So it would be to approve and accept $13,000 in CARES Act funds from the FAA, and we recommend approval.
Any comments or questions from council? Okay, Ms. Skank, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Condrey,
Abstain?
Ms. Vettori,
Yes.
Ms. Nenny,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan.
Yes.
The next matter is Ordinance O 2021-27, an ordinance authorizing a contract with John R. Jorgensen Corporation, company for the 2021 and 2022 street levy paving project and declaring an emergency.
So move for adoption.
Second.
Mr. Pelenick?
Madam Mayor, members of council, I'm going to do something a little unusual on this one because typically when we're simply awarding some of these contracts, we wouldn't have folks representing the company here. But given the size and magnitude of this project, and I think how we've all been looking for it, there are members representing the John R. Jorgensen Company here. And after I've sort of given some of these details, I would ask them to come on up and just introduce themselves because you'll be seeing a lot of them over the course of the next 2 years. But this item obviously is the actual awarding of our contract for the 2-year paving levy. As you know, we issued bonds in the amount of $31,300,047.50. We bid out what we expected to be 137 lane miles of paving work. We received 2 different bids. The low bidder was the John R. Jorgensen Company. They came in at $26,380,962.95. As a result of that bid being lower than we anticipated, we are now able to do an additional $4 million worth of paving in our community in the next 2 years. So that will add some 20 plus additional lane miles to the 137 lane miles. So we are asking you specifically to award a contract to the John Jorgensen Company for the paving in 21 and 22 in the amount of $30,380,962.95. Now, the remaining amount between that and the 31.3 will be going $419,084.55 to the various construction inspection, materials testing, and project management that comes with a big project like this over those 2 years. And then we're also asking to move $500,000 to our fiscal year 2021 local street paving program, which is another item on tonight's agenda, because there was a budget deficit there, and we'll talk more about that. But obviously, we're really, really pleased with the way these came in, the way that this was bid out, and the way we went about it, because we'll wind up doing a good deal more than we ever anticipated, and we're looking forward to working closely with the John R. Jorgensen Company. And the last thing I wanted to note is this additional work, the $4 million in extra paving, obviously because this is over and above what we anticipated doing, we can't expect them to complete it within 21 and 22. So some portions of that amount of work, obviously, because it has yet to be designed and thought through and has to be added, that could actually bleed into 2023. But that's entirely great because it's all extra work that we didn't anticipate. So I guess I would ask the folks from John R. Jorgensen if they could just come up and introduce themselves so you'll know who they are over the course of the next couple of years.
evening?
Tim Beatty, I'm the estimator and project manager. Do you need my address?
No, not for this part.
Maybe about 12 months from now. Pete Flora, Vice President of the John R. Jurgensen Company. And we are looking forward to working with you all, that's for sure.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for your great bid.
That's right.
And I would just note, too, that we expect to be close partnership with the Jurgensen Company as we do signage and promotions and public information as to where they'll be at given times and what street sections it will be worked on and that type of thing. So a lot of that's in the works. You'll be seeing a whole lot more about it in the future, but know that we'll work very closely with the contractors so that we'll try to make people well aware in advance of where they're working and what is to be expected.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Just thank you to staff for all of your hard work on pushing this project through, and I look forward to seeing many miles of beautiful streets in Middletown.
And all of the patience everyone will have with it as well.
Mayor, I'll just add, I mean, one of my favorite slides from the packet for this meeting was seeing all the red ink of all the streets that were going to be paved, and what a stark contrast that was to road conditions that have been deteriorating over the past several years. So there's a lot of work ahead. I thank, again, the voters of Middletown for the strong support for the levy, because we are using their dollars to reinvest in our community, and we wouldn't be doing that without their support. So thanks again to the voters.
With that, Ms. Gank, you please call the roll.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Ms. Nenny?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Condrey?
Yes.
The next matter is ordinance O-2021-28, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Vickers Demolition Incorporated to demolish the structures located at 2402 Central Avenue, commonly known as the Lincoln School, and declaring an emergency.
So move for adoption.
Second.
Mr. Pelenick?
Madam Mayor, this is another item that we've been very much eager to be able to present to you this evening. As you know, that the former Lincoln School building has been something that we've wanted to get demolished for some time. And because it was eligible to be on the National Register, we had to go through a process to make certain that we went through all the steps that are required when you take down a building of this nature. That was all completed, so ultimately we did the bids for this. Recently, we had a walkthrough. 23 separate bidders wound up showing up at the walkthrough, and then we actually received 11 bids as a result of the bid solicitation. They ranged between a low of $226,000 to a high of $984,000, and the recommended bidder was not the low bidder. They were the second low bidder. They are Vickers of Trenton, Ohio, at $264,000. The reason we were not recommending the lowest bid was in doing some due diligence and background. We felt that they were a company that was just a little bit too new, inexperienced, and hadn't had experience doing anything of this size. So we were not comfortable that they were prepared to be able to do this project. We will be using CDBG or Community Development Block Grant funds to pay for this. Those are available in the budget. So we would ask for your approval. Also note that there were no bidders for the part of the project that was supposed to do salvage work on the historic parts of the building. Any of the bidders that had walked through or looked at it felt there was simply nothing there that was going to be of value, and they didn't feel that their time was worth it or the effort was worth it. We will still go through a process, however, with the demolition company, Vickers, to make some of the salvage materials available to the public, and we would ask the public to sort of pay close attention as some of this happens. There might be some bricks and other things that are available, so we will do whatever we can to make that available. And I would entertain any and all questions that you may have.
Mr. Palaniuk, I did get a few questions from the neighbors abutting the property. And maybe just for public consumption, you could share maybe what the vision is for the land after the property's down, and any timeline, if there even is one at this point.
Yeah, this is a really nice site when you think about the fact that it's very near a high-quality, historic residential neighborhood. It's very near another site similar to it, the Roosevelt site. It's very near some of the local restaurants there. So we see this as an opportunity for some nice infill residential, and we will be and already have been marketing that to some developers out there. Someone may want to look at this site alone, or maybe package it with the Roosevelt site, and then do some, critical mass development, maybe some attached or detached single-family homes or townhomes, but it would make a very nice site given the neighborhood.
Can I speak for a minute on the timeline, because I do think that's important to get out to the public. We're awarding this contract tonight, hopefully with your vote. We'll work with Vickers to get them out to the site as soon as possible. I heard they might be able to mobilize as soon as a week out. But the first thing that's going to happen at that site is some asbestos and environmental abatement. So if it doesn't look exactly like something's going on at the site right away, it's because they're inside doing the asbestos abatement before the building actually starts to be demolished. I just wanted to throw that out there for those that are watching the site.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, Ms. Gang, could you please call the roll?
Ms.
We
Nenny?
have a motion right in a second.
You did, yes, thank you. Ms. Nenny?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Condrey?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
The next matter is ordinance O-2021-29, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of aviation fuel from AvFuel and declaring an emergency.
So move for adoption.
Second?
Mr. Palaniuk?
Madam Mayor, this would be a standard yearly purchase of aviation fuel for the airport, so it's available to sell to the public. We've had a contract with AvFuel since 2019. It's a 7-year contract. This purchase would be subject to that contract. It's not to exceed $300,000, and that has been included within this year's budget.
And I did just want to mention, in case folks didn't see it in the minutes last meeting, that 2020 did see a double-digit increase in fuel sales. So certainly a positive sign of momentum out there. That's all I had.
Out of curiosity, and I know we talked about this, Jim, but this is a standard yearly purchase, and we're asking for an emergency legislation on it. I know you said we could try to refrain from doing that. My request would be that we plan further in advance for things like this.
Yeah, we will certainly look to do that. So we were a little late this year, and as a result, we kind of snuck up on us. So we are asking for the emergency, but it is a routine matter. So we appreciate the consideration.
Thank you. I also noticed it's a second reading emergency, and is this how I don't think we vote on it until the second meeting. Is that? The staff report asked for second reading emergency.
I apologize. I might have misread that when I was reading the information. I apologize. That would be my fault. So it looks like it is scheduled for a second reading emergency. Would not ask for action this evening. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm sorry, I was going off the agenda. I'll withdraw the motion then, I guess.
Good point as well.
I read too quickly. Ready to go to the next matter, will be matter number 8, ordinance number O-2021-30, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing a contract with Aclara Technologies LLC for the purchase of replacement equipment for the automated meter reading system. Here for a first reading.
Mr. Palaniuk?
Yes, Madam Mayor, back in 2005 and 6, we first installed 20,000 meters with these so-called MTUs, or meter transmission units. They have a useful life of 15 to 20 years, so we are now at that point where we're replacing a great many of them. So this is just part of that replacement. They're Aclara Technologies technology, so basically we're looking to maintain the same thing so that we wouldn't have to completely replace what is essentially a $9 million system. So their bid for 2,688 of these replacement MTUs were $95 per, so that the request here is $255,360. That will be paid for, again, as a 50-50 split between our water and sewer capital funds. And that's what we're asking, so we would recommend approval.
Any comments or questions from council at this time?
The next matter is ordinance O-2021-31, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Jacobs Engineering for the design of 2 backup generators and 1 elevated storage tank for the distribution of water. Here for a first reading.
Mr. Palaniuk?
Yes, as part of our long-term planning to maintain water resiliency within our system, we're asking that we employ Jacobs Engineering to design 2 separate backup generators, one for the water treatment plant, one for the Yankee pump station, as well as 1 new elevated storage tank, which would be a 2 million gallon. Basically, this is part of our long-term plan. Cost for this work would not exceed $765,000, would come from the Water Capital Fund.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from council?
Item number 10 is ordinance O-2021-32, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Barrett Paving Materials Incorporated for the 2021 Local Street Improvement Program. Here for a first reading.
Mr. Pelenick.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of council, in addition to our big, major, multi-year pavement levy program, we promised that we would also continue to do local paving work, and this is the example of that. So this is the 2021 Local Street Improvement Program. It will do an additional 12 street sections. We bid this work out. The low bidder was Barrett Paving Materials. Their price is $3,537,877. We told you earlier when you approved the big pavement levy that we wanted to put $500,000 of that toward this because we had budgeted $500,000 a little light on this. So this is getting paid for with that $500,000 from the street levy fund, in addition to $1.1 million from the capital improvement fund, $1.026 million from the auto and gas tax fund, $700,000 from stormwater capital, and $1.255 million from individual property owner assessments. We received 4 bids for this work, and again, Barrett was the lowest. The work technically would start after July 1 of 2021 and would be completed by May 31st of 2022.
Can you confirm just the levy money that is going towards this, how that works?
Yeah, essentially, we're just taking, the levy money has to go to street paving, so we're using $500,000 of the levy since we were able to do so much more even than we anticipated of the 137 miles. We wanted to make certain that we had all the funding available for this year's pre-planned local street, so we're using $500,000 of that to make sure we could fully accomplish what we had planned for this year.
So are we still using the we budgeted a certain amount and we said we wouldn't use any less than that moving forward if we pass the levy. Are we using that full amount without the street levy money?
Yes.
So okay.
And we're able to do more because we're able to do more because we're adding $500,000 in order to.
Okay, so this is what we budgeted for plus $500,000 from the street levy.
That's correct.
That's what I was. Thank you very much for clarification. Any other comments or questions on this? Thank you.
Matter number 11 is Resolution R 2021-16, a resolution supporting Amtrak's proposed expansion of passenger rail services in Ohio and for congressional actions needed to authorize and appropriate funds to the expansion. Here for first reading.
Mr. Pelenick.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Amtrak and advocates on behalf of both Amtrak and passenger rail service have been talking about a so-called 3C rail project here in Ohio, which would work to connect Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland with passenger rail. And of course, Middletown potentially could be an interim stop on that kind of a route. So we would very much like to see that continue to be talked about and looked at, and want to be on record as supporting and advocating for that kind of potential expansion of service. And this proclamation would simply do that, and it would ask for congressional action, whatever would be needed to both authorize and appropriate funding to be able to do that kind of a project.
Great, that sounds very exciting potential. Obviously not near term, but I'm absolutely supportive of that. Any other?
I found it interesting that they talked about the difference in where Ohio ranks as a population versus the amount of rail that exists in the state of Ohio. That we rank something like 5th and then 40 something. So that was an interesting statistic for sure.
Any other comments? Thank you.
And last but not least is ordinance O 2021-33, an ordinance adopting a general fund reserve policy. Here for first reading.
Mr. Pelenick.
Yes, when we did our strategic planning session this year, we presented to you the prospect of amending our general fund reserve policy, and this action would essentially do that. So our current policy talks about maintaining a 15% minimum in our general fund reserve, but we had not had anything that suggested a maximum. This would then actually put in place a 20% maximum, so that essentially the reserve policy would read, if post-audit, the city would find itself with more than 20% of the previous year's general fund expenditures, having first taken into account any current year budgeted use of fund balance, then that amount exceeding 20% would be declared surplus, and that surplus would be spent on the highest priority capital needs that would be identified within our then current long-term capital improvement plan. So when we talked about this at the strategic planning session, we said it's important as well to have that long-term capital improvement plan. So the first opportunity for this would come post-audit. Our audit happens in July, and then we have a belief and a desire, and we hope to have a long-term capital improvement plan completed and in front of you by no later than fall of 2021. So if we put the policy in place, then we would also be doing those things to be able to actually implement that policy moving forward. And this is independent entirely of any of the ARPA funds, because the ARPA funds would be an entirely segregated fund. So ARPA would not come in and be added to the general fund reserve. It would be entirely separate. So anything that looks like a percentage capital or general fund reserve would be simply the reserve that you've gotten used to seeing that's always been part of the general fund.
Mr. Palaniuk, I know the staff report indicated, council could choose a higher or lower number. I'm just curious kind of what factors went into choosing the 20%, if, maybe you've used that at a previous government or other, that's the recommendation of the National League of Cities or...
There is a range in which I think most financial analysts would say it makes a lot of sense. I have seen in past communities where I've worked where we had a maximum of 18%. I think this city is maybe a little bit more conservative, and we probably don't have quite the level of resources, so it's probably appropriate to up that a little bit. So we felt 20% was a little bit more appropriate in this case. You also want to take into account your bond rating and some of those issues. So again, in our case, maybe because of resources and some past history here, it's probably better to have that maximum a little higher. So that's why we went with the 20%.
Okay. And then on the potential items that we're going to be, I guess I'll call them deferred maintenance, the capital improvement projects, would those be supplemental requests outside of the budget that would come to council in the future, I would assume?
What would happen is we would, during our budget process, have our regular budget and then also approve the long-term capital improvement plan. Okay. And in the long-term capital improvement plan, the year of the CIP, that was the year you're in, would be in effect the budget for capital that year. So in there, if there were specific non-enterprise fund, a capital funded items that needed to be done that year, and you'd look at the highest priority, and if there was no other revenue source identified to fund them, then this is where the so-called surplus would come in, and you would move down the list as far as the surplus might go.
Yeah, I guess my question is, will we be approving individual items, the roof on the city building, or will we be approving a bulk, $1 million, because we have an extra $1 million, and then...
Oh, the surplus would be sort of objectively identified. If it was more than that amount after the calculation was done, it would be done. Then a process would come back to you where you would say, okay, we've identified that we have a surplus, it's $1 million. Then you have your capital improvement plan in front of you, and you say there's 27 different priorities, and of course some of them can and can't be funded within the amount of money that you have. So then your decision would be which of these, based on their priorities, can actually be funded, and then you would vote to select those to actually pay for it.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Well, that brings us to our new business. We know Mr. Kalanick is interested in showing a video. Does anyone else have new business they want to raise in addition to that, so we can?
I would just like to share, I mean, my personal sentiment and what I've heard from a lot of residents over the past couple of weeks with the increase of violence and activities going on in the city. I think it's somewhat an issue countrywide, coming perhaps out of COVID and some reorganization of perhaps some of the issues that we had at some point abetted a little bit in the past. So as we're looking at, and I know these ARPA funds are a one-time fund, but I would ask that staff look creatively at how we might be able to just provide more resources, staffing, whatever's possible for MPD, first responders, so that we can try and, I think, get back to where we were 2 years ago, where we were starting to really see big decreases in some of the activity, the criminal activity in town. So I'd just like to see, as we're planning out and thinking about how those funds can be used and planning for growth, we're thinking about some of these bigger new developments coming at either side of town. I mean, all that's going to increase activity in different ways. So I just want to make sure we're thinking very strategically about safety and how we can grow our safety alongside everything else in the coming year to 5.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'm looking forward to the video.
Okay, well, if that's, then let's, are we available to have it roll? Here we go. And we needed to have it a new business because you actually approved some things we had to see happen tonight before we wanted to show it.
I figured there was a timing issue there.
Hi, Middletown. Last November, you voted to approve a paving levy that was designed to really transform our community. Since then, we've been working to plan and utilize these dollars in the most fiscally responsible way possible. Because of the historically low interest rates, highly competitive bid structure and process, we were able to secure an additional $4 million in paving that is now possible. And the paving levy project isn't the only paving that's going to be done in the city of Middletown over the next 2 years. In fact, in total, over $51 million in paving will occur in our city over the next 2 years. This translates to over 200 lane miles being paved in 2021 and 2022. That's over 1/3 of the total lane miles in our city. Now, this kind of transformative progress doesn't come without a few detours. So please pardon our progress, because there will be some road closures. There will be some times when, there'll be a little disruption within your neighborhood. But at the same time, we're doing an awful lot of work, and you're going to be really pleased with the result. So please be patient with us. Thank you, Middletown.
Lovely. I like the inflection
Thank you very much.
in your voice. Very upbeat. What phone number is that, out of curiosity? Who picks up at the end?
That is the city manager's office.
There you go.
Okay. You heard that, everyone, right there.
So that's all we have. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we have a couple reasons we would like to move to executive session under the authority of ORC 121.22G1 to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, and under the authority of ORC 121.22G3, conferences with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action.
So move for adoption.
Second?
Ms. Skank, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Condrey?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Ms. Nenny?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Right, and after the executive session, we will re-adjourn in order, or come back into session just to adjourn, but our next meeting will be April 20th at 5:30 p.m. here in council chambers, and until then, blue skies over Middletown.
Thank you.
Are we moving or are we staying in here?
We're staying here.
All right, thank you.
I can't see anybody. It's okay.